I've always believed in the power of manifestation. If you have an idea and you can visualize it really clearly, and you talk about it as if it already exists, it's amazing how often you can make it a reality. I want to tell you a story about a really radical idea that began 2 years ago in a little bar in Rotterdam. I was talking to a friend of mine about how innovation and architecture have helped make Rotterdam the great touristic destination that it is today. He's the director of cantered, and at a certain point he said something that really captured my imagination. He said, when tourists book a trip to Europe, they go city hopping. So they go from London to Amsterdam, to cantered, to Brussels, to Paris. And he said, what Rotterdam really needs is a really huge touristic attraction, like the London Eye, combined with the window of the future. Then the tourists can come to cantered, they can see the windmills of the past, and then go by boat to Rotterdam and see the windmill of the future. We'd obviously been drinking quite a bit by this stage. And the more we drank, the more convinced we were that this was a really brilliant idea. But what he didn't realize was that the next day, despite my hangover, I'd actually remembered the conversation. So when I got to the office, I discussed it with my partner, and we decided to test the idea. And we started like we always do, by reframing the question. So what do we get if we combine the London Eye with the next generation windmill? Then obviously it's got to generate more energy than it consumes, right? And if we're generating more energy than we consume, then we should be able to live in it and work in it. And if we're living and working in it, then obviously we've got to orientate it towards the sun, and maybe we should position it on the river so we can create a circular water system. We started bringing all of these components together in a double ring design. An inner power ring and touristic attraction, and an outer programmatic ring with a hotel, apartments, and commercial space. And what's unique about the structure is that both rings are actually static. The touristic cabins move internally on a rail system, and the windmill has no moving parts, like a traditional wind turbine. And to make it a powerhouse, we optimized the form to harvest the wind and the sun. So the inner ring has a circumference and a surface area of 15,000 square meters to capture the wind. And the outer ring has a smart skin of 45,000 square meters to generate energy, to heat and cool passively, and to allow for natural ventilation. Our goal is to produce 3 times as much energy as we consume. And that would make us a distributor of renewable energy for the neighborhood. As far as the water system is concerned, our ambition is to make it 100% circular. So besides capturing rainwater for reuse, what we need to do is create crossovers between energy and water that actually produce clean drinking water. And finally, we want to make it completely upgradable, like a smartphone. Not just the software, but also the hardware. So it's a function-free building in a way. An apartment can be transformed into an office or into an hotel. And this enables different forms of financing, so ownership and leasing are both possible. So in a sense, what we're making here is a cluster of services which can perpetually be upgraded to create the best user experience. After a couple of months, we had developed the concept, and we decided to post it on the internet. And then something really amazing happened. It went totally viral.
The Netherlands is known for its windmills. Around 1,200 of them, some dating back centuries ago, are continuing to stand across the country. Now the port city of Rotterdam is trying something new. It plans to introduce a high-tech windmill-shaped skyscraper. Find out more.
A unique landmark.
La patria dei mulini a vento potrebbe presto ospitare Windwheel.
Im Land der Windmühlen könnte schon bald das Windwheel gebaut werden.
Pour leur moulin à vent, mais à l'avenir, ils le seront peut-être pour leur roue à vent, Windwheel.
An unprecedented attraction.
La struttura alta 174 metri è progettata per essere circondata da 2 anelli.
Ein Gebäude, das die Winde in der niederländischen Hafenstadt Rotterdam dazu nutzt, sich selbst ohne externen Input mit Energie zu versorgen.
A sustainable icon.
C'est un système d'énergie renouvelable mis à l'essai dans le port de Rotterdam.
Uno esterno rotante e uno interno statico contenente alcuni appartamenti, un hotel e un ristorante.
The Dutch Windwheel. This is not a building.
Apparently it was an idea worth sharing. Since then, it's been published more than 1,000 times in over 100 countries. And we started getting telephone calls from developers and tech companies and research institutes from the whole world. And they all wanted to join this adventure. So what we did was, instead of the traditional process where a client commissions the design and it gets constructed, we decided to reverse the process. We decided to develop it ourselves, without a client, from the bottom up. So we built a consortium with 12 of the top tech companies in the world and 3 of the finest research institutes in the Netherlands. And we used this private coalition to create a public partnership with local, regional, and national government. And this month marks the beginning of a 2-year innovation program in which we're going to work together with our partners to develop some of these technologies that we need to realize the Dutch wind wheel. And at the same time, we've started talks with international global investors who are interested in financing the construction. So the Dutch wind wheel is not a building. It's a cluster of services to create an empowering ecosystem. An ecosystem in which you can live, work, and recreate. An ecosystem that empowers and educates. And an ecosystem that generates more than it consumes. That night, 2 years ago, in that little bar in Rotterdam, I could never have imagined that this idea would capture the fascination of the world. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that you should never underestimate the power of design and a good narrative to inspire, connect, and unite people around an idea. Dare to dream, and if you're going to dream, dream big.